Wrong one. I'm fired.
This episode of the Off-Road Podcast is sponsored by Warren Medical Gear Outfitters and Colby Valve.
Off-Road Podcast, episode 396, Dirt Legal.
Tonight, Aaron gets a call sign, Coy finally gets caught, and Ben gets nothing.
Welcome to the Off-Road Podcast, a podcast about everything off-road. We cover the news, review products, and interview people in the off-road industry. Your hosts tonight are Aaron, Coy, and my name is Ben. And tonight we are joined by Justin, Brandon, and John from Dirt Legal. Welcome to the show.
How's it going?
How is it going, gentlemen?
It's going well.
Pretty good, man.
Well, Coy,
Ben, why don't you? No, I want Ben to go first because you got nothing, so I'm sure it'll just be quick.
yeah, I literally just been working a lot and like cleaning. I like cleaned my garage, so but I did get motivated because it was supposed to snow and I didn't get any snow. Like when it snowed last Monday, I got like an inch. And but the wife's been driving the 4Runner to work and I needed to do an oil change, so I did the oil change on her car, my car, and I fixed my body cladding finally.
Look at that.
Yeah, so there's no longer a red stripe there on the bottom there. I found out on the bottom corner closest to the door edge there was a like a rectangle bolt that's supposed to slide into the plastic.
Okay.
So I unbolted it and put it on and glued it in with a special plastic glue. And there was another seam where some plastic wasn't sticking together where it was supposed to be. So more super glue, more $20 bottle of super glue, and got it all clap back together, super glue. I mean, all I'm missing is some duct tape now.
Yeah.
I'm so stoked that you fixed that because that has either flown off every time we've been wheeling together or been off from the last time we were wheeling together. So that means this next time we get together, it'll fly off again. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Probably.
Everybody was taking bets on how long it's going to last on there, so that's good. I'm excited.
Take your bets. I mean, I until I drive backwards through bushes again, I think it will stay on. With, you know, as long as my doors.
You were just driving on the Alvord, it just came off, just like on a lake bed. There wasn't a bush within like a mile.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what it is. It's just bad luck. Actually, I thought that was the front fender. I don't know. Whatever.
I don't think your fender came off.
No,
Ben.
the fender cladding, like the
I
black
don't
part. But whatever. It's always falling apart. That's that Toyota reliability for you guys.
Yeah.
What about you, Coy?
It finally happened to me. I've avoided it for 3 years. I got Corona. And
Congratulations.
yeah, so I'm one of you weird tainted people now. Just another
It's
normal.
a
My blood is
normie.
no longer pure. So yeah, I finally got Corona. Just it was 5 days of nasty cold and fatigue, but I survived. So
You got the weak Corona. You didn't get the Delta, the D.
well, you say that, but like the strong one, my body was just like, you shall not pass. Like it wouldn't even let it happen. And this one finally got weak enough for my body. It was like, all right, what is it? What's the worst you can do? You know, so that's the way I figure.
Yeah.
I see.
Strong one
I
bit
see.
me and got kicked out. So and then also had some snow days here. So that's a great comment. Yeah, that's apparently what I got, I guess.
The Corona Light. Yeah.
Yeah, I got me some Corona Light. Yeah, so we had some snow days, and it worked out perfectly that the first snow day was the first day I called in sick, and then we had snow days the rest of the time I was sick, and so I just kind of laid around my house. Couldn't really get out and do much because you go outside in the cold and like but that sore throat is just horrible. I did spend some time in my shop and put my MR2 back together, and but then I have some suspension parts I want to put on, so I put all the interior back in, and now I'm ripping. There was about 15 minutes where I'm like, wow, I finally trimmed all the interior pieces around the roll bar, and it looks good. All right, now I have to take the outside apart, and I just like sat on a chair and started ripping suspension out. So it was close, guys, close to being on the road.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. That's funny.
Speaking of being on the road again, Aaron, what are you doing to your mobile?
Well, yeah, so I also got some snow. I got some pictures here. Here's day one of when other people were getting snow, and you can see how much snow I was getting there. And then this next photo is literally 24 hours later. Sorry for the difference in angle, but that's almost 13 inches of snow 24 hours later. It started snowing sometime in the middle of the night. We got like 13 inches in 13 hours. And then after I took this picture, it snowed for 5 more hours. I don't know an official total at my house. But the good news is that I've got young kids, and what they like to do is they like to bring home diseases from school. And so I also got sick. I didn't get the corona, but I got sick. So I didn't get to go out and play, but that's okay because my Nissan, I haven't done anything with it. I was supposed to have one of my really good friends come over this past weekend. And he didn't know it, but I was going to have him help me bleed the brakes on the Nissan Frontier. But that really good friend of mine got the Rona and said he couldn't come over. So, so Coy didn't come over and bleed the brakes on my truck that he didn't know he was going to help me bleed him in. So
Was he worried about giving it to you? Having had it like 3 times already?
No, I don't think their family was feeling well enough. So, and that's okay. I didn't want to see Coy anyways.
I didn't know that you were planning on me helping with the brakes, but as that was getting closer, I was like, I'm wearing dirty clothes because we're going to go get his brakes blended. But I was actually planning on.
You were planning on working on my truck.
Yeah, I was like,
with or without me. That's funny. So, we got some snow. I forgot to share this picture. I was going to pretend that Coy got in an accident with his FJ, but that's not Coy. But yeah, that's a good one.
The sleepy FJ.
I thought I had another picture here. I got to upload it here real quick.
Starting to think you guys don't like Toyotas.
Oh, two of them are Toyota owners. I'm not the Toyota owner. So here's the last picture. Just today, I finished getting the garage door openings framed out on my shop, so that in a week or two, I can get some garage doors installed. So now that that's done, I can actually start putting the sheeting on the front of my shop. And then once the doors are in, the only thing left to close up is the man door opening. I still haven't bought a man door. So you can see the Nissan sleeping in the back of the shop there. So anywho's, yeah, that's let's see. Oh, I did some other stuff. That's right. I pulled a Chevy Blazer out of the ditch on the way to someone's house on Saturday.
Is that with your Avalon?
No, the Avalon would not have done very
We're talking
well.
like
a real Blazer or
K5 Blazer, baby Blazer, or
the new Blazer?
Yeah, crossover Blazer.
So it's like pre-crossover. So this would have been like the 90s and 2000s Blazer. And the guy who was driving it, he had some like all-terrains. I think they were from 1976. I think they're twice as old as the Blazer itself. And the 4-wheel drive wasn't working. So he was trying to go up this hill as you leave my house, and he couldn't make it, and it kind of slid backwards into a ditch. So I actually worked his whole truck 90 degrees by hand without even tugging on it with a truck, because I was trying to get him to turn and drive down the hill. And that didn't work. So I ran home and I got a Bubba rope. Yeah, exactly. I ran home and I got a Bubba rope, and I just one quick pull and I drug him down the hill, and I deposited him in a spot where the road tees into another road. And there was a whole bunch of snow in the middle, and he was headed downhill, and I unhooked a Bubba rope. I'm like, okay, go ahead. And like his tires just spun in the snow there too. So I had to drag him a little bit farther. to get to a spot. So that road that he was stuck on trying to go up the hill, you can either go up the hill to get to the main road, or you can go the long way around. And so I had to teach him that there's another way off this road. So he wasn't from around here. So yeah, wife's F-150 actually did really, really good in the snow. It was really surprising. It doesn't have like the Toyota A-Track. It has some other sort of traction control similar to the A-Track, and it's like detects wheel spin, and it did really good. So also I got my ham license call sign. I need to figure out the military phonetics for it, or whatever you say, but it's KK.
Kilo.
Yeah, it's Kilo 7 Kilo, and then I don't know what R is, and then H is for
Romeo.
hotel. Romeo Hotel. There we go. So it's Kilo 7 Kilo Romeo Hotel. Got my ham license call sign finally. It's kind of boring. There's 3 too many K's in it. I feel like I might be a white supremacist because of my call sign. So they're not entirely in a row. There's a 7 that breaks them up, but I think I need to get a vanity call sign.
So you
if
could-
I
anybody
heard that's
knows-
pretty hard to get, though. I heard there's a lot that goes into getting that.
No, you just pay the government $35, but there has to
really?
there just has to be whatever letters you want, letters and numbers.
Well,
that you
Aaron, I
want
mean, the vanity,
to line
surely
up.
3 Ks in a row is taken already. So I don't think it's even worth for you to try.
No, I'm not trying to remove the K.
Oh, I thought the 7.
Remove the 7. No,
Yeah, I thought you were upset about the 7, but never mind.
no.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could put
No,
the 7.
I'm at the ham license in total. So all you got to do is pay a fee. Do you have to do any classes or anything like that?
No, so yeah, I did have to take a test to get the ham license, but
Mm.
to switch your call sign to a vanity call sign is just a $35 fee.
Oh,
And
cool.
from what I understand, you can do it as many times as you want forever. So yeah, I just got to think of something cool and then figure out how to check the database to see if someone else has the cool call sign.
It's on, what is it, APPRLL or whatever that website is.
I think it's AARL, but
you can search
that's-
through there.
yeah, we gotta stop doing nerdy stuff. Let's move on. Brandon, have you done anything off-road or vehicle related in the last couple of weeks?
Oh yeah. So last week I actually flew out to Vegas to go film with Welder Up, and he used to host a show on Discovery Channel, Vegas Rat Rods. So we were doing a few clips on trying to get titles for some of those old rat rods because he builds all sorts of crazy things over there, like twin turbochargers, things like that from like back in the 50s and the 40s. So we filmed with him, and then we shot off to Utah, and we rented some side by sides. We went to the park it's right on a lake. It's Sand Hollow, and they had some really good trails there. And we rented KRX 1000s. We had 3 of them, and usually I'm always the one that breaks something. And of course, I flipped it upside down, and that was a pretty penny. But we had it flipped like pretty far. I didn't know if we were gonna flip it back over. There were 6 of us, so luckily we were able to get it all the way back up, and just got it back on the trails. We didn't stop. We just kept going. And as soon as we pulled up to return it, the guy saw it, and then he checked every inch of every single machine after that.
I bet.
And then
bet.
he hit us with a $1,200 fee for flipping it over and damaging the roof and the door. And yeah, it wasn't the same after that. But that was actually the 3rd one that I flipped. First time that I actually got charged for it. We flipped them. Yeah, I have a bad habit of driving the UTVs. That's why I rent them. I wouldn't want to do it on my own.
Well, if you only had to pay one time, that's only $400 per flip, so that's not bad after all.
That's right. Yeah. I got lucky in Glamis because we flipped it there right at the top of the sand dune. If I would have flipped it any sooner, I would have been rolling down.
So are these flips from like crazy side hill angle, or are you just going fast and turn and
No. We're sometimes it's drifting, but this time it was just rock crawling. Way too steep. I couldn't see the angle. Normally I have to like look out over the dash, and I just sent it and just tipped over. If I went a little faster, I probably would have been fine, but I don't wheel too much on those, so the terrain is so much different than what we have in Florida because everything's flat and sand.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got the glades
How-
and stuff down there too.
Yeah, but there isn't no hills or anything like that.
That's a good point. Out there in Sand Hollow, you could have called Matt's Off-Road Recovery.
Yeah.
That's last resort. We're all about just flipping it, fixing it. We'll tow it back. We once had to tow one of the UTVs back with hammock straps because the belt snapped. That was fun.
So I just did a quick Google, and the highest point in Florida is 345 feet.
Yeah, Britton
Above
Hill or
sea
something
level.
like that. And it's way up
Yeah, it's
north. It's
Britton
like
Hill.
way up in the top of the state.
It's probably
Yeah.
the top of a Disney World ride.
Yeah. No, that would be too high. It's a little bit lower than that.
Yeah. Oh, how about you, Justin? Have you done anything vehicle related or off-road related last week or so?
I'll tell you what, my Sequoia, the power steering rack went out. And apparently in Missouri, you can't pass inspection if you have any form of power steering rack, even a little drop coming out of it. You can't pass inspection. So first thing I did was get under there and try and wipe it off and say, oh, look, it doesn't leak anymore. That didn't work. So I guess I've got to do a steering rack on my Sequoia.
Can you
Or you
just
just-
take all the fluid out and then it won't leak?
See, the dealership noticed because the fluid thing was empty. So they were
Yeah.
looking for that. They must have had somebody come through who thought like that.
You should have just came over to Dirt Legal. Wouldn't even have had to worry about it.
That's
tell
it.
you what.
Yeah,
You-
license
You
it in
guys
another
can get
state.
it inspected at a dealership.
Well, I made that mistake. I might not do that again.
Here's what I say you do. Do it, like when you're salting a gold mine, right in front of them while you're waiting, just pull out a thing of oil like you're going to top off the oil, and then just spill it all over that power steering rack. And just be like, oh, I'm so clumsy.
No, it's a little pan. I don't know what to tell you. It's leaking.
Oops.
I just dumped this oil out everywhere, and I was just going to top it off. I shouldn't have used a gallon. I should have been using a quart. I don't even, sorry.
Jeez.
Problem solved.
Yeah.
Apparently, you can do a
Shout
rack
out.
on this without even pulling the wheels off. So it's
Oh,
not going to be
that's
that bad.
good. That's good. How about you, John?
Well, I have, so I'm leading up to the story here. I have 6 kids, so we are in the process of buying a passenger van. So
I
for
thought you were
real.
going to say putting him up. I thought you were going to say putting him up for adoption.
Yeah, sorry, kids. Sorry, it's you or me.
Breaking
No,
news.
we're in the process of buying one, and so we're trying to get rid of all of my decrepit vehicles because I've hit that certain age where I'm tired of working on things, and I actually want my cars and trucks to start when I need them to start. So nothing too exciting. I'm trying to get away from exciting things like what Justin was just talking about because I don't want to deal with that anymore. And beyond that, hiding out in the woods of eastern Kansas away from society.
I love it.
What was the highest in Florida again? Elevation?
345 feet
I am double that at my house right now.
at your elevation. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 640 or 660. There it is.
Now I got to look.
Yeah. I think,
was curious.
I think I'm at 450 feet of elevation just at my house too. And
I'm
I'm
630.
low.
You know that meme of the guy in like the 3-piece suit in the theater balcony window, like staring out? That's how I feel right now, knowing that's how much higher my elevation is here.
I'm actually I googled it. I'm 13 feet above sea level here in Florida.
Whoa. I've been on ladders higher than the sea level you live at.
Oh,
I'm not talking extension ladders. I mean like an A-frame ladder.
I've literally been in tunnels and still been considerably higher at elevation.
oh.
That reminds me, Aaron, you're doing a shop. The biggest thing I've done in my shop so far, this weekend we put up fans. I have a 30-foot ceiling. And boy, you turn those fans on, it's like turning the heater on. Just brings all that heat right
Just
down.
move all. That's a good idea.
Oh, yeah. You ought to put some fans in there.
I might be able to get some for free, swapping them out of a business or something. I do electrical work. I'm an electrician, so bring home stuff all the time.
You got to get one of those like 15 or 10-foot wide fans, those ginormous ones. Those are some air movers.
That's what I'll look for, something big like that. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Well,
All right.
we've got our Earth Day cleanup. Very simple, people. Mark your calendars. Get out of your computer chairs. Hit the trails. Any trail. What trail? Any trail. Really, just go out, grab some trash, help out just a little bit. What's the worst that can happen? Well, it might need recovered, but But going out and clean up your local trail, on Earth Day, what better of a day to go help clean up?
Absolutely.
You guys do any gambler runs or anything like that?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we've gambled before. We
Okay.
actually the local Washington Gambler guys, they come out right near my house and go out to Wilkeson fairly regularly, which is 5 miles that way, and they do a cleanup because people love to dump their cars out there.
Yeah, I was actually Eric's in the comments. He says that the gamblers go out and they pick up all of Ben's trim pieces that fall off his Forerunner. So I was actually going to say that Ben's Forerunner is going to be eligible to be doing the gambler here pretty soon.
Yeah.
I actually had to mute myself so I could have a good belly laugh.
Yes. Oh man, the comments don't disappoint.
I'm definitely not treading lightly, leaving all those trim pieces around.
Yeah.
We also want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Patch. Head over to patriotpatch.co and check out their selection of great patches, shirts, cleaning mats, signs, and stickers. You can also join the Patch of the Month Club for $15 and receive a patch, matching sticker, and artist proof each month.
There's March's Patch of the Month. Say that's good luck to the Irish.
Is that a FAL? I can't tell.
What is that?
Or is it a Bren?
What do you think, John?
I'm not good with those European
That's actually
guns.
that's a woman. I don't know if you.
She's holding a Beretta 92. I can tell what that one is, but
yeah,
I don't know about the rifle.
Well, and
Anyways.
also, let's not forget our patches. Those are out there in live, easy to get. $13 shipped to anyone in the U.S. For your first one, $10 for any additional, or $10 each picked up from us in person. Just shoot us a message through any of our social media, and we'll hook you up with a PayPal link and get those sent out. And that Lumen Locker patch, it glows in the dark. Just FYI, got to have those Lumen lockers if you don't have the real lockers, right?
Yeah, it's an FAL. Sorry, I had to Google it.
You had to Google it? Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense. That's kind of a gun they'd be using over there.
Yep.
Have tire troubles ever left you deflated? Colby Valve has got you covered. Ever have a valve stem leak? Colby Valve makes reusable and easily replaceable valve stems that don't require you to remove your tire from the wheel. They work with your off-road rig, ATV, side-by-side, commuter vehicle, or even your tractor. Never be left stranded again because of a busted valve stem. They also have a tire repair kit for those punctures that keep you away from doing your favorite thing, wheeling. Make sure to check out colbyvalve.com or ask for them at your local off-road products store.
Right. Well, our first news story here is about some off-roaders over there in New Zealand. They had a cyclone hit. I want to say Off-Road Addiction TV is a YouTube channel. And Thompson, who runs the channel, said it just didn't set right watching from afar as people are suffering. So him and four of his buddies, they loaded up with 800 kilograms, or for us here in the States, in like our American Eagle pounds, is 1,763.7 pounds of sponsored meat via Neat Meat. Also a trailer load of diesel. Neat Meat.
Neat Meat is some meat from Neat Meat. That was a tongue twister for you to spit out, Ben. You did a good job.
Yep. To help one of the local towns there on the coast, on their last trip this last Sunday, they gathered more than 4 tons of meat for those who were badly impacted around Hawke's Bay, and a generator, the supply of about 300 liters of diesel to refuel contractors, volunteers, and machinery.
That says 3,000 liters.
3,000 liters. Sorry. I don't know what that is in gallons. And then
That's 800 gallons.
800 gallons. There we go. Are on the sites of Devastation. Large quantities of ice and gifts, such as lollies. I believe that is a like a toy truck, for kids traumatized at losing their house and belongings in the cyclone.
I think a lolly is like a sucker. A lorry is a truck.
Oh, all right. Well, they give the kids some candy then. Here you go.
There
Here's a
you
Hey,
sucker.
kid, I know your house blew away and you lost everything. Here's a sucker.
Yeah.
It's better than
There you
nothing.
go,
It'll preoccupy them for a few minutes. But I mean, that's pretty awesome that some guys, saw there was a need and went out and helped some people. It really doesn't take all that much.
I'm curious. They must have had like a small tanker trailer or something, because that's almost 4,800 pounds of fuel.
They did several runs.
Okay.
So the first run was that 800 kilograms of the meat and a trailer load of diesel. I don't know how big of a trailer they had or anything, but they did several runs. This last run was a total of what they had done so far.
Gotcha. No, that's pretty cool that they're able to wheel their way into that remote town and supply them with a bunch of stuff. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. That was from the New Zealand Herald.
I hope that neat meat isn't like lab grown meat. I hope it's like real pork and Canadian bacon and American bacon.
Burger
No.
adjacent.
It is. It is. Neat meat is the original plant-based meat alternative.
Oh no. Oh no.
But it's a dry mix. So I think the thing behind it is it's like some freeze-dried stuff. So it's you don't need to refrigerate it, which is kind of nice for those who don't have refrigerators because they blew away.
I guess so. Well, I mean, they're getting something, but a little sad. I hope some farmer steps up and he's like, "Here we go. Here's 17 cows. We're gonna bring over there. We're gonna butcher them for everybody.
Come here, kids. You feeling down? Watch this. Hold my bone saw."
Yeah. All right. Well, on that downer for an upper, I don't know if this next story is a downer or an upper, but I'm kind of excited about it. So, Ram, formerly known as Dodge, has been caught undergoing winter testing with a mid-sized truck. So Dodge got rid of the Dakota back in 2011. That was the last time they offered the Dakota, and they haven't had a mid-sized truck to compete with the Colorado, the Tacoma, the Ranger, the Frontier, the Ridgeline. Ridgeline Consumer Reports says should be the best-selling truck out there. But yeah, so they're undergoing a truck. It does not have an official name. It doesn't have official anything. It looks like it's got a lot of cardboard hiding the body shapes and everything.
Aaron,
but
can I tell you how disappointed this article made me before? Like when I looked at the show beforehand and you put your mouse over the link and that picture pops up or one similar to it. And when I read the headline, my brain just filled it in. Ram 1200 caught underwater testing. And then I saw that. I was like, yes, Ram, please. And then I clicked on it. I was like, oh, that's not what it said at all. Turns out it's undergoing winter testing, not underwater testing.
No, not underwater testing.
And then the way the vehicle looked, I'm like, yeah, underwater, baby.
I find it funny because you see, I don't know if this is a different vehicle here next to it for their.
It is. Yeah, it is a different vehicle.
Camouflage. I'm so used to that camouflage versus slapping cardboard and duct tape on.
Yeah.
It's like we're definitely not testing out fuel economy. We're driving it like a Jeep. So
maybe it's a Cybertruck competitor.
Yeah, there
That's
we
what
go.
that's what some of the comments were saying, that it looked like a Cybertruck competitor. So the article speculates that it's probably like a front-wheel drive platform, which would be not a mid-sized truck. That'd be like a small truck like the Ford Maverick or the Hyundai Santa Cruz. They speculate that there might be a diesel option. I would kind of be surprised. Everybody's dropping diesels. So in fact, even Ram dropped the diesel, the eco diesel they were running. So I have a feeling that it won't be. And looking at the size of that truck, it's got to be a mid-sized truck. So it doesn't look
Mid-size.
like, yeah.
I could see hybrid. Maybe they do like an all electric version as well.
Yeah. So it could go either way. I mean, it's 5 lugs. It's not a 6 lug like most mid-size. So I really don't know. So
It's going to be the new Honda, the Dodge Ridgeline.
it's all speculation. So, but nevertheless, if it's a small truck or a mid-sized truck, I'm excited for it either way. I want to see what Dodge brings to the table. I want to see what they do. So, yeah.
Think they'll use the Dakota name again?
I don't know. I doubt it, because Ram uses numbers, not
Ooh, yeah, good
names.
point.
Yeah. But so if they do a mid-size, it would be awesome. I know not very many people are doing body on frame SUVs, but it would be great if they did a body on frame SUV to compete with the 4Runner.
Yeah.
So,
They do
anyways,
that. I hope they call it the Prospector. Go old school.
absolutely. That would be pretty
Yeah.
rad.
Speaking of prospects, we have a new contest, guys. On May 8th, we're going to be doing a show with Andy from Warren Winch, and we're going to talk about recovery stories. And leading up to that show, we'd like you, our listeners, to write in with your own personal recovery story of when you recovered someone or you got recovered. I know those are harder to tell, but throw them there if they're any good for us. And we're going to pick one story at random, and you're going to win a Warren medium duty accessory kit.
Oh, it's so big and medium. It takes up my whole screen.
It's a bag, strap, some snatch blocks, gloves,
Ooh.
all kinds of cool stuff. So
All very easy to do. All you got to do is write in and you'll be entered.
That's it. Just take 3 minutes out of your day, type that story up. Hopefully it's real. We can tell if it's a lie. Don't send us any lie stories. Tell us only real stories.
you guys tell us a real story. When we read it, we'll make it good.
There we go. Yeah, we'll tailor it.
We'll embellish.
Yeah, I know Eric's got a few good Jeep stories, because he's a former Jeep owner, so
Yeah.
got some good Jeep stories.
And now he's one of those weird Nissan owners.
Yep.
Go prepared with Warren Industries. They produced the first recreational winch in 1959 and lead the industry with their dedication to quality and reliability. When you dig yourself in deep, make sure you have the right tools to get yourself out. Get Warren equipped and go where others can't. Now, let's get ready for adventure and head into our main topic.
Well, you've heard him talking a little bit earlier in the show. We kind of introduced him, and tonight we are joined by Brandon, the founder of Dirt Legal. We have Justin, one of the editors, and John, one of the writers, all who work for Dirt Legal. So, welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thanks for having
One of
us.
us owns the place. The rest of us are just working here.
Exactly.
Well, it definitely doesn't run if no one's working, right? So let's start this off with, first of all, please tell our listeners a high overview of what Dirt Legal does.
Sure. So we specialize in registering off-road vehicles for the road. We help people get their car registered when they have title issues, or if they're just dealing with some type of issue, or if they just don't want to deal with the DMV. And if they don't have a title, the title got lost or it's damaged, we can help get a title for that vehicle as well. Pretty much any type of vehicle we can cover and figure it out.
I've got one of those.
What a boring topic for the off-road podcast. Why would we even have dirt? That's dumb. Oh, a company that helps people with titles. No, it's a lot more. It doesn't sound very exciting, but I've actually pursued you guys a couple years ago, and it's been a long time in the making, and I'm super excited about this episode. And my brother-in-law, who has a side-by-side, when we had all the snow, he drove a side-by-side to town, and then he had lunch in town, and then he drove a side-by-side to someone else's farm and got pulled over on the highway by the sheriff's department in his side-by-side. He did have one of those orange tractor things on the back. He did not get a ticket, but I was excited to tell him that he'll need to listen to my podcast and then reach out to you guys to get his side-by-side license so that doesn't happen again. So, yeah, super excited about this.
Well, it is historically kind of a dry and boring thing and really complicated. And I think that's why a lot of people kind of give up hope, and states generally are not very clear on how to do certain things. So we try and make it exciting. We try and make it interesting, and we try to help whenever we can.
I'm getting ready to go through the process. I've got my grandpa's 1962 Jeep Gladiator sitting on the side of the house, and I need to get it moved into my name. So
Ooh, that's going to be a good rig.
I too have dealt with a car I bought from a friend who he had lost the title for, and the guy, I was able to get him to sign any documents I want and make bills of sales and everything. And it still probably took me 9 trips to the DMV. And they were like, but it's always a different person when I finally thought I had everything.
Oh,
And I set it down and dude's going through it all. He's like, wow, you got everything. This never happens. I'm like, I've been in here like 9 times. He's like, oh, okay. Sorry about that.
That's not bad. Nine times isn't too bad. I mean, we've dealt with people that have been there like 17 times all over the state.
Man.
Yeah, no, it was not fun.
I had some of the listeners of the show know I had a LMTV military vehicle that I bought, and it came with the piece of paperwork from the government, and it was a lot of hoops. I was like, oh, I'll just register as a farm vehicle, and it turns out to register as a farm vehicle, you have to register your farm and tax, blah blah blah. I'm like, no, that's a hoop I don't want to deal with. So then I'm like, well, I'll just register as a truck, and then they're going to charge me by the tonnage, and this thing is 18,000 pounds. I'm like, there's got to be a cheaper way. So I'm like, same thing. I'm going in and out and calling people. It was a mess. And then I found out that there's a collector vehicle. If you're in a club in Oregon, if you're in a club, an active member of a club, and you have a letter signed by the club, and the club is a legitimate club, then you can have the vehicle as a club vehicle, and it has to be a collector car or something. So I was able to use that clause. I joined the Military Vehicle Collector Club of Oregon, or whatever they're called, MVCCO, I think, and that got me in the door. It got me permanent plates, but same thing, is a headache. So I wish I would have known about Dirt Legal 5 or 6 years ago, back when I dealt with that headache. So yeah, we've all had headaches apparently.
Actually, a lot of states have parade use or this and that for military vehicles. A lot of them don't allow you to really drive it like daily or anything other than events. So that's where we come in. We can help find another state that'll make it much easier to register it, especially if it only has an SF97 from like GovPlanet, like one of those auction sites, and it's stamped off-road right at the top. As soon as the DMV sees that, they're just not going to touch it usually.
What I found out in this rural area, actually, I owned it up in Tacoma first, and then I moved out to the rural area. What I found out is that no police ever pull over military vehicles, whether they have plates or not. Or anything. So yeah, I ran that thing for probably a year before I finally got it licensed properly. So ratchet strap holding one of the doors closed, missing a mirror for a while. But nobody pulls over a military truck, especially when you're like got the operator beard going on or whatever. I had a lot bigger beard back then. Mine was
they
like
usually
John's
wave the feet. Because I drove times, and like I got people waving at me all the time. It's like, yeah, sweet.
They're usually all camo, so they probably just see you waving, and they're like, wait, why is that guy just going by? They don't even see the truck at all.
Yeah, how's that upper torso just floating in the
air? They just think it's a glitch, and they just go on with their day.
Yeah, and I don't recommend breaking the law like that. Reach out to Dirt Legal instead.
Yeah, you don't want to get that thing impounded. Who knows what type of tow truck they're gonna have to call for something like
Oh
that.
my goodness.
Record.
Yeah.
That's actually a fair point. One of the things we encounter a lot is there are a lot of areas in the U.S. where your local cops don't care if you drive a UTV on the road or a golf cart on the road or whatever you want, but that only works until you get in an accident or you incur a ticket or something like that, and then your handshake agreement doesn't really work anymore.
That's a good.
And
point.
there are states, particularly Colorado and California, that are actually out straight up ban the registration of former U.S. military vehicles. So like there's no handshake agreements there. It is in the state statutes. They will. Colorado is actually stripping the titles of like surplus Humvees off of GovPlanet and
Wow.
reissuing them as ORVs. Like they know, and Justin and I talked about this. I'm like, yeah, maybe out in the really low population counties, maybe you get away with it, but maybe you don't, because it still is a law, in those two states. In California, it's because of CARB. So it's actually an emissions, because obviously as tactical vehicles, they don't meet any emissions criteria whatsoever.
Yeah.
But no, if you look, they are openly hostile. They refuse to register in those states.
To be clear, Colorado is actively rescinding titles for
Yes.
military vehicles.
Yep.
Vermont was doing that. Vermont was doing that with
Key trucks.
those Delicas.
Oh yeah,
It was Delicas. The Delica, the right-hand drive
Mitsubishi.
micro. I don't want to say it's a micro bus, but they're a small van.
I thought that was
Vanagon
Maine that
style.
was doing that. They,
Maybe it was
states.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
you're right. I think it was Maine.
So
Yeah, I think it was Maine.
yeah, with Vermont, anything that's like a key car, like a mini truck or anything like that, they don't register them anymore. They used to be very lenient about things like that. They don't even register military vehicles anymore. They want you to go through an inspection in Vermont.
Man, I thought Vermont was the live free or die state, or maybe that's New Hampshire.
That's
I don't
New
know.
Hampshire.
Yeah.
that's next door.
It's whatever.
The Hummer search. That's interesting. Yeah, I you've probably got a lot of guys out there who are running recovery companies who are saying, well, what am I supposed to do now? My heavy hitter off-road vehicle for recovery is a Hummer or is an LMTV. What do you do?
Well, it
His
sounds like
Hummer's
they
about
need
to
to call
start
Dirt Eagle.
identifying as a 1985 Chevy Blazer.
All right, boy.
Sorry, do you guys help with titling vehicles that people import from other countries? So I got a Nissan Skyline. I'm gonna go race for pinks, but I don't have a pink slip to put a bet. Do
Oh
you guys
yeah.
help me with that?
Well, yeah, we deal with pretty much, vehicles imported from all over the world. The older they are, the easier. You're probably familiar with the 25-year rule, which is a federal rule that allows you to import them. Thanks to people like Bill Gates, they helped get some of these show and display laws. So then you can actually bring these vehicles over. A lot of them have like restrictions. The older they are, the easier it is to get it registered or titled. But we have different processes. We've done some newer ones and plenty of old ones. A lot of JDM stuff from Japan.
Have you guys heard of anyone bringing over what is it, the new Samurai? Is it, or no, the Jimny?
Jimny.
Yeah, because
Jimny.
we had an article about someone bringing in a Jimny. It was
in
a
Texas, I think. It
Yeah,
was.
dealership
Two
in
different dealerships.
That dealer,
Really?
yeah, I seen the posting. They actually had two for sale, about 45,000 or so. We actually did get one titled. That was like a 2021 or 2022. The guy just used it for off-road use and just wanted to go on the streets a little bit. I don't think he was planning on selling it. It was a really interesting case. He has like a yacht that he was gonna bring it on and just bring it around to different places. But that one, it was an interesting trying to get that one registered.
But you were able to do it.
Yeah, we were able to do it. It took maybe a month or two since we haven't dealt with anything like that before, but we got it done.
All right,
That's
someone tag
awesome.
Andy if you're
Yeah.
watching on Facebook.
Yeah, and he's gonna have to sell all of his vehicles to get that.
That's fine. He'll totally do it.
Yeah. So I mentioned my brother-in-law. He's got that side by side. What what parts are generally needed? Because I doubt you can just slap a license plate on it and call it good. What kind of parts are needed for someone to make their off-road vehicle, whether it's a quad or side by side or dirt bike, street legal?
Sure. Justin, you want to answer that one? Because I know you're really familiar
Yeah.
with this.
So, a lot of newer UTVs, we'll do UTVs, for example, side by sides. A lot of the newer ones come with pretty much everything you need to be street legal. You've got mounting points for seat belts, you've got brights and dims, you've got blinkers in some cases. So, in a lot of cases, a newer vehicle, especially off the showroom floor, is not going to need a lot. Maybe a license plate light and a place to put the plate. We always suggest having DOT tires. But you get an older vehicle, you don't have maybe brights and dims. Maybe you don't have reflectors on it. Blinkers is another big one. So most of it is lighting, seeing and being seen. As far as the vehicle itself, you don't have to worry about passing emissions. You don't have to worry about, safety inspection, that sort of thing. So pretty much the vehicles are 90% of the way there usually.
Are there things that you can't get registered for people?
We get some crazy requests. One of them that we tried to do recently was like a go-kart, like a racing go-kart. I don't know why anybody would want to drive that on the road or who thinks they would get away with that. I don't
Mario
think
Kart.
how, yeah. I mean, in Japan, they actually have rentals for them on the road. I guess they can legalize them there. But yeah, really the issue is with vehicles is that don't have a VIN or serial number, whether it was restored or removed or somewhere along the line, they just can't find it. Some of the older vehicles go by the motor number, but if there's no identification, there's no way to register it because you can't prove that it's not stolen. And you would have to get a VIN number issued by your DMV and have it inspected before we'd be able to get it registered or titled.
I was reading on your blog about how to title a military vehicle, and it mentioned that the person applying for that license for their rig ends up with an out-of-state plate or out-of-state tag. So does that mean that this vehicle that I want is going to have some other state's license plate on it? And am I going to have to change that to my state eventually? How does that part work?
So if you live in Montana, then no, it'll be from your state. But most people don't. So what we do is we actually set up an LLC in Montana. Not only is it a requirement if you're not a resident there, but then that gets around the requirement of having to transfer it to your state because it's not owned by you anymore. It's owned by an LLC that's based in Montana. So you can drive it for years on end. And there's no inspections or anything like that. We handle the entire process. And it can, even if the title says off-road, that's not a problem.
Gotcha.
And does Montana's like fees and stuff run a little cheaper? Because I've worked for companies before, and all our vehicle plates were out of Montana, and that
No sales tax. No sales tax in Montana. That's pretty much the biggest benefit. And 11 years and older vehicles are permanent plated. So anything 2012 or older gets a permanent plate unless it's over 1 ton. So like 450 or anything like that. Trucks will not get permanent, but anything else, it'll be a permanent plate. So like some military vehicles, you'll never have to worry about renewing them.
That's handy.
So does that mean you don't have to pay a renewal fee? You just pay it that one time and it's permanent plates and you're done.
That's right. One and done. It's
Wow.
super huge benefit to doing that.
So with having that LLC, does that mean that LLC can be used for other things too?
Sure. Yeah. If you wanted to go and operate a business, you just get an EIN number from the IRS and then you go set up a bank account. But
Handy.
I guess when we eventually set up a business account for the podcast, it'll be out of Montana.
There we go.
just consult with your CPA first. Yeah, you might have to register the LLC in your state as well, but you can totally put any type of assets in the Montana LLC. People do like properties and stuff like that to limit liability, and then all sorts of different types of vehicles for many different situations, not just for the tax purposes, just to get the permanent plate.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is very handy. It's a multifaceted thing because I know some gun trusts or like that they'll use LLCs. So
Yeah, we do a lot of trusts. We actually just did one for the owner of Factory 5 who builds kit cars. We're doing a few tags for him out of Montana, and it turns out they have some really good trust laws there, which we weren't even aware of.
Nice.
Interesting. Maybe we'll
So-
talk about some trust stuff after the show.
Yeah. If something like a UTV or a dirt bike is licensed with another state, can it be driven on the road in all the states? Would I have to worry about going to California where they're not so friendly about military vehicles?
You hit one nail on the head, and that is that there are some states that are not friendly toward it. California is one. Colorado with the military vehicles is another. For UTVs, for example, we've gathered the information in a street legal UTV guide on our website, and we list out all the states that we say, hey, you may not want to ride here. They are openly against it. Even if you're legal and you're on the road in all the right ways, they can still say, hey, no, you can't do that here.
Wow.
But the vast majority of cases, yeah, I mean, we always say check your local laws and resources. Some counties have weird laws and things like that, but by and large, yeah.
I assume that insurance is needed to drive any of these vehicles on the street that we've talked about. So depends on
Actually,
that, I guess.
actually, no. In Florida, you don't even have to insure a motorcycle. So that's pretty cool.
Oh,
So like
okay.
dirt bike and motorcycle. Some states have laws like that, but if it's like an ATV, UTV, I mean generally four wheels, but in most states you have to insure all types of vehicles, anything that's going to be on the road. The DMV doesn't require proof of insurance, but I mean you're going to want it just to limit liability in case you're in an accident or something like
So
that.
Just to be clear, of all the states, Florida man on a motorcycle is not required to have insurance.
No, but if he has health insurance, he doesn't even have to wear a helmet.
Wait,
Wow.
there's
Florida's
literally
like,
a
dude,
law
just
where
send
it's
it.
like-
Do whatever you want.
That's a law. It's like, hey, if you got health insurance, you don't have to wear a helmet.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Okay.
Actually, that's how it is in Missouri too. If you have health insurance, you don't have to wear a helmet.
I think
Yeah,
you
I-
have to be 21. If you're 21 or over, I think if you're under 21, you have to wear it, and you get this plate that says under 21, so everybody knows.
Wow. Pull up to the club with your under 21 plate. There you go.
I've driven down I-90
I
a
feel like
handful
it should
of
be
times.
life insurance, not health insurance for the helmet, because like
I
you can't
agree.
put your head
Yeah.
back together like when
Yeah.
it comes off. Like
I've driven to South Dakota a handful of times, down I-9 or through I-90, and you'll see in the states where helmets aren't required, where people on motorcycles pulling over, and it's like, okay, now I'm gonna take my helmet off, and it's like, do love to live dangerously, don't you?
You
Well,
should
something
see
else
it.
that's changing, is a lot of these states have, they're testing the waters on making things street legal. For example, Kentucky has a pilot program right now where they're testing off-highway vehicles on approved roads during daylight hours. And they're gathering data on crashes. They're gathering data on tickets and all this other stuff. And if all goes well, that should go into law. So as more states do things like this, I think we're going to see widespread adoption of being street legal in these vehicles that are, I mean, no less safe, in my opinion, than a motorcycle. So
Yeah, especially when they realize people are going to other states to register them anyway. They're just losing out on all that extra money.
Exactly. It's lost revenue, 100%.
They don't like that.
I've noticed recently here in Washington, they've changed the UTV rules to where if it's under 40 miles per hour, you can drive it on that road as long as you're street legal and registered.
Yeah, some states are
Well,
getting more lenient, but then you got states like California that are going the opposite way and straight up eliminating like the whole red sticker, green sticker thing for dirt bikes. And I mean, yeah, now it's even harder to even take a bike off road there. It's crazy.
John can talk about the red sticker thing and how much that bothers John.
I don't
Well, I'm a
know-
good
I don't know anything
libertarian, so it should bother me.
Tell us about this red sticker, green sticker, because I don't know what that means.
John, you've got the highest
All right,
ranking
so,
article.
basically, you're all right. Here we go. So basically, in California, there are CARB runs this. The same organization, the Air Resources Board, is the one that runs that program as well. They're the ones that put the kibosh on military vehicles, and so the the bikes have to meet certain criteria, and they'll be issued either a green sticker or red sticker. If I'm so basically, and that is what tells the authorities if you're allowed to be on these trails or not. And so basically they got rid of that. So you were allowed to use 2-stroke bikes, ones they consider dirty on certain trails. Well, they did away with that program. So basically those bikes can't be used in California.
Yeah.
Which can I just say, like, for me, let me give you some stats. In 2022, there were 14 million light vehicles sold in the US. That's cars, trucks, light vehicles. All right. There were around 400,000 power sports vehicles. That's dirt bikes, ATVs, UTVs, you name it. That's like 3% of the number of vehicles that are sold in the US. And yet we're seeing increased legislation against this very small minority of people, not only for going off road, but in emissions and other things as well.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing, there between light vehicles and then medium duty, there's like 31 million registered vehicles in California. So, you look at dirt bikes, that's not even a speck on the map, And so, I mean, to target that is just, it's just insane,
As a former
to waste all
Californian,
those resources on that program. But,
Well, the good news is our government is looking out for us, and they're also working on banning propane and natural gas stoves for our safety too. So
That's right.
they're just looking out for our safety. They're really good for us. If anybody
As a
can't tell,
former
thanks, guys.
Californian, you don't have a year that goes by that PG&E doesn't start a fire with some of their substations or something like that. But dirt bikes can't be allowed to. That's not going to happen.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, the electrical grid caught the whole state on fire, but a 2-stroke is bad.
That's
Yeah.
right. I guess
Um,
to answer your question, yes, regardless of how you are street legal, maybe don't ride on the roads in California. That might go.
yeah,
That might not go
Yeah.
very well with the local PD.
they're probably not going to honor much in reciprocity wise, or it would be probably your last resort state to try to drive through.
Gotcha.
Yeah, at least on a UTV. On a dirt bike, there's so many factory street legal dirt bikes nowadays that you'll blend in, but on an ATV or UTV, good luck.
I read that some vehicles can only be registered as a low speed vehicle, and I've heard that term before, but I've never looked into it. I don't know what that means. What kind of vehicles are you talking about, and what does that mean? Where can they be used, etc.?
So that depends on the state. So the federal law for low speed vehicle is something like similar to a golf cart. For example, there's like a Polaris Gem, and it's vehicles that can go anywhere from like 22 to 28 miles an hour. They can only go on roads with a 35 mile per hour speed limit and lower. And they're legal in pretty much all states. They're basically like a golf cart that already come modified from the factory with all the street legal parts, except for airbags. So that's why they limit it to only 35 mile an hour roads. So they're super popular in Florida. Some states have a process where you can convert a golf cart to street legal. Many states don't. The vehicle has to be made as street legal. And then also in Florida, you can take like a mini truck, for example, and register it as a low speed vehicle. The requirements are a little different there, where it can go over the 28 mile per hour max and go up to 55, but you can still only go on roads up to a 35 mile an hour speed limit. So in some cases, it's still better to register out of state, but at least they give you an option to register like mini trucks and key cars, whereas a lot of other states don't even give you the option. They just call it an off-road vehicle.
Yeah, and that's another thing we always we've seen people try and register as an LSV, and you might get lucky with your inspector or your DMV agent, but the first officer that pulls you over and realizes you can go way faster than 25 miles an hour. I mean, it's just setting yourself up for either getting a ticket or getting your license or your plate revoked or something like that.
We actually had a news story a month and a half or so ago, and it was I think it was an electric vehicle. What do you guys remember what that one was? It was a really boxy looking thing, and it had two options. It had a low speed option and it had a off-road version. and I can't remember what it was called now. It was really, really unique looking.
It was ugly.
I'm not trying to be nice here. I'm trying to be nice. Maybe they
had a
want to
really
come on the
nice
show.
personality.
Is that one of these that comes in a box and you put it together kind of thing?
It looked like it came in a box from IKEA and you put it together, like the flat pack trucks that they ship to Africa.
Mhm.
It looked like that, but someone had like thrown an overland catalog at it, and it had something to do with the name reminded me of like a prospecting at a mine in Nevada or something. I can't remember. Man, I wish I could
I
remember.
think I've seen
that
on
was.
YouTube like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Someone tested
I
one.
I think they showed it at SEMA, and I think that's where I was seeing the pictures. Either that or Consumer Electronics Show is one of those two that they just had that. But
Speaking of the Consumer Electronics Show, we actually just registered a VTOL a couple months ago, and I don't know if you know what that is, but it's basically a car, like a flying car, vertical takeoff and landing, and
Yeah.
it's like a concept that they just finished building one, and we actually just saw the video earlier. They threw the little plate. We got it registered in Vermont, and they were going to drive it down the strip in Vegas. They didn't end up driving it there, but they're going to drive it in California here shortly. So they can't fly it yet though, because they're waiting for the FAA approval. But that'll be
Yeah.
really cool to watch it take off and just land and drive right on the street.
So are they trying to register it with the FAA as like an experimental, or?
I'm not sure exactly how they're registering it. I can only imagine, but it's kind of complicated to register as both like street legal and
Yeah.
experimental. I mean, I can only imagine. I think they're actually trying to go the low speed route because then they don't have to add airbags and different things like that. I can only imagine how that's going to work with adding weight and stuff like that. So they got a lot of regulations to get around before they can get that thing on the road, like legit with to be able to fly it and stuff like that.
Brandon, they're wanting to, it's going to be a production vehicle, right?
Yeah. On their website, it's like $800,000 or something like that. So it's going to be a pretty penny.
Yeah. So then it won't be an experimental aircraft. Then it will be a certified aircraft, which is double the headache trying to get it on the road and certified for production.
But
Yeah.
can you imagine? Like, I know 800 grand's a lot, but when you get cut off, to be able to just take off, fly over there, and get back in front of them, how satisfying that would be.
Yeah, there it is.
There's a picture of it.
That's
So thank you, Justin, for dropping that in the private chat. So it's called the ASKA A5 VTOL eVTOL electric flying car. Don't get much of a look at it from here, although it looks fairly long because there's people at a rear wing and then you're looking at it at the front wing. So
Yeah, kind of like a drone.
for our radio only listeners or our podcast only listeners aren't watching on video, I would, if you're looking at it down from the top, it would be shaped like the letter I. It's got a fuselage and a wing at the front and a wing at the rear.
Yeah, it reminds me of like a giant DJI drone.
Yeah, pretty cool.
So you mentioned
Popular Mechanics has only been talking about that since like 1955.
Yeah, build
Guys-
your own in your garage for $200. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll send you the plans for $200 and build it yourself.
That's it.
So you mentioned smart cops looking, but what are the chances you get one of those dumb cops that don't believe your vehicle's street legal? What are the chances of getting a ticket with that?
Yeah, that happens. I mean, there's actually been a few cases in Pennsylvania where all these people got their UTV street legal through Montana. A few different ones got pulled over. Certain counties were more strict than others. They ended up going to court, and there was a whole ordeal with the police department and things like that. And a couple of the guys actually beat it in court. However, you have to get up to a certain level before they actually set a precedence. So usually the case just gets dismissed because they just don't want to deal with it,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah,
they don't
so
want the
they're
precedence.
dismissed.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Because that's just how they get around it, basically. But I mean, it happens a lot of the times. It just gets thrown out, and it was just lack of knowledge on how it works with the other state's registration. Because it's a lot of different complexities trying to understand the laws in another state when you're driving a vehicle. I mean, that applies for many different types of laws, like when it comes to like certain things like tint and stuff like that.
So the problem with that specific situation was that someone got pulled over in Pennsylvania. They provided a really well assembled folder that said, hey, here are all the previous cases that I know of that have gone to court and been tossed out because this is a legally registered vehicle. His was in Montana. So in the state of Montana, this vehicle is legal for road use. And the officer said, I don't care about any of that. I think it's illegal. I'm going to give you a ticket anyway. So
I think it's illegal.
yeah. So we always advise, it kind of goes back to that idea of like, there are some areas where you're less likely to attract attention. Maybe don't ride in downtown St. Louis with a UTV, check your local laws and regulations. But again, everything that we have not yet heard a story of someone going to court and having it go against their favor.
You just got to be willing to actually go endure the pain of going to court, to set the precedent.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, if you want to do that, go for it. I mean, when you're following these forums, these guys are practically begging for it. And I'm like, man, you're made of stronger stuff than me, because I have no interest in going to a courtroom for any reason. Like, I'll just suck it up and drive on my dirt road.
I offer myself as tribute to the courts.
Yeah.
And again, I want to clarify that this is not just normal vehicles getting into these situations. This is the guys who drive with a lifted UTV with LED sticks on the back, and they're like driving around blasting music in the middle of the night.
They've got a target on their back.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. If you're just using it for example, Washington, okay, and Wisconsin's another example, they have robust UTV and off-road vehicle trails throughout the state. The trouble is they're not always connected. So if you think of your local bicycle trails in your city, and you think of trying to get from point A to point B without ever touching a public road, that's going to be tough. Imagine if you had to load it up on a trailer and then go to the next trail section. So that's a use that we see is really popular, is people using it so they can use off-road trails and they can connect with other roads at their own discretion, and they're not out there driving around in the middle of the night downtown.
Justin, are you saying
Justin,
are you saying that you can take the UTVs on the bicycle trails? Is that what I just understood from that last?
No, that is incorrect.
Okay, all right.
Physically, I don't know. It's up to you, I guess.
How does it play with like the National Forest Service roads? I know that they've, at least the last time I checked, there was issues with side-by-sides on Forest Service roads. Has any of that changed with like getting your Montana registration or any of that?
Yeah, it's interesting because the forests, since there's a lot of off-road trails, a lot of them say no off-road vehicles. Once it's registered, it's like a gray area, but they see an off-road vehicle and they're more likely to pull you over. We've seen other places where if you have a tag, no problem. It really depends on the park. So, and Justin might be able to chime in a little bit more because I know he's really familiar with some of those rules.
Yeah, I've done some overlanding and some travel to national parks, and what I've found looking into the rules is that those lands are generally managed by a national entity. So we're talking about National Park Service, Bureau of Land Management, your BLM land. That takes precedence in a lot of states over state laws. So if BLM, I like that comment. I take my truck on bicycle trails. At least that's what the bikers think, because the road's apparently all there. I'm a cyclist. I don't know about that. I get rolled coal on all the time riding my bicycle. I tell you what.
Get rolled coal on.
Dude, every truck goes
I see your before we had everybody in the chat and it was only 4 of us. I saw your bicycle in the background, but it's not a bicycle, it's a unicycle.
That over there, yeah, that's a unicycle. I can't ride that.
Okay, it's just a decoration.
I was advised to try doing it in the hallway first, so you can kind of brace yourself on the walls. Don't just go out in the parking lot and try and ride it.
Gotcha.
I had a unicycle as well, and for probably about a year, and I can't ride one, but it was a great time. I was working out on the road, and we were just staying in these campers in a field doing construction work, and I just kind of got it gave to me in this random town in the middle of nowhere, and so I just brought that back to the campfire. That all these construction workers, that half of were alcoholics, and then it's like, hey, this is here now, and I just set it there, and there was only a couple broken wrists, and it was awesome for about 2 days.
Coy, I think you and I need to chip in and get Ben a unicycle.
I watch
Have
that.
you know, long ago, a young Ben with no beard and hair on his head actually rode a unicycle that was the 6 foot tall ones, the tall ones, and I could juggle at the
Oh.
same time. Nowadays,
Okay, we're doing it.
probably not a
No,
good
we're doing
idea, but I'll
We're-
do
we're
a short one.
gonna-
I'll try a short one.
We're
been a
gonna
long
get some
time.
of that. We're gonna get some of that soap tequila in you and get you a unicycle.
Oh damn! You know, I think I'd be better with the pickle whiskey, right, Coy?
Yeah,
Yeah,
hot pickle whiskey.
Whatever it takes.
yeah.
Well, guys, I have really one final question for you guys, and it's mostly for me because as we talked before the show in the background, I want a K truck. I want one so bad. So, how do I get around Oregon law and get me a K truck that I can drive to work?
There's a lot of different rules on that. It depends really what it comes with. So if you're buying the age of it, and if you're getting a title or just a bill of sale. But generally, we'll just register it in a state that's a little bit more lenient, that won't have that requirement of needing the title, or they won't require an inspection. Might be Montana, where we'll register it, and then you'll get a Montana LLC. And since those vehicles are usually older, you'll probably get a permanent plate with it as well.
Oh, and
man.
can you usually go as 55? Like you can go on all the roads with one of those.
Yeah, so we registered as like a regular pickup truck if it's a mini truck, and there's really no speed restrictions. As long as your vehicle can keep up with the speed limit, then you're good to go.
Coy, you and me side by side in one of those.
It'll keep up after I put a street bike motor in it.
It sure
yeah, yeah.
will.
You gonna
Okay.
build it out with tracks and everything? Mat tracks?
I am not rich enough to do the. I could get the tracks or the K truck, but I couldn't do both.
One or the other.
I know my budget's just not there for both.
Oh man, yeah, I've been talking about one of those for a long time for the farm here. It's like, why buy a farm UTV, not like a cool Razor or something like the Rancher version? Why buy one of those when you could have a K truck that has heating, possibly air conditioning? Not only you can get them with 4-wheel drive, but you can get them with lockers. Some of them had tilt beds.
Or
Yeah,
hydraulic.
Yeah, hydraulic tilt. You don't have to buy a hard cab and a heater and all this stuff. You've already got all
Yeah.
of it.
I've yet to be in a UTV where if you find a nice downhill that if you slam on the brakes, you can pop a reverse wheelie. And with those, it's not even that hard. You can do it on gravel. So.
You have to put a wheelie bar on the front.
The way they're built, they actually hit the bumper pretty good. And, yeah, it's really cool. Just whip up and slam on the brakes beside Subway, bounce it off the bumper and back. And then
Jeez.
it's like, hey,
Yikes.
See, I don't understand why they treat those any differently than a K car. My girlfriend wants a Nissan POW. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but we've been looking at those, and you can just get them as a normal car, registered and street legal. I don't know why a lot of these trucks are treated any differently.
It's a good question, really. I mean, really, they're all the same. I mean, a key car is just a small vehicle from Japan, 660 cc's usually. And I think the mini trucks is just more popular for people to import over here, and they're not really too familiar with the cars. But really, it's in the same genre.
Yeah. I think in Oregon, you can't have car or truck that is the K category vehicle. One size up from that, I'm pretty sure you can, but the K trucks and other K cars, you just can't.
Yeah, it's also the fact that they're imported and they were never made for U.S. roads, and they don't have airbags
Yeah.
and things like that, I believe.
Yeah, but as long as you get that 25-year rule, as long as you import one that's 25 or more years old, who cares?
That's right. Yep. And then the
Clearly
problem
they
is just
don't.
having a title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'd much
well,
rather
it sounds like,
die like a real man.
yeah.
That's the only argument I've heard about kind of everything we've talked about is safety. You know, people will say,
Yeah.
there's a Nissan POW. Katie will appreciate that you put that up.
Yeah,
Man,
it's cool.
I tell you what, you might stand out like a sore thumb in that, but you'd be having a good time.
Oh, I would stand
Or
out like a
pinky.
huge sore thumb. Like I'd get out and be like, "Whoa, what just stepped out of that?" And then like pick it up and move it wherever I needed to, like a little backpack.
It reminds me a little bit about the BMW Isetta, the one that has the door that like opens up frontwards. and the
Yes.
steering
Oh,
wheel
yeah.
attached.
the steering
Which
wheel.
again-
one, yeah.
Always a normal car.
Yeah, I kind of want. What was
um,
the one Jeremy Clarkson drove through the BBC where it's
The
like
three-wheeled one that he laid over like
Oh,
900 times.
I think it was the P50 Peel.
Yeah,
There's another car that the Daihatsu Copen, I think, is the car that Nissan looks like. Another little tiny car. So, yeah, there's a lot of
that
cool
comment-
little cars.
This
So when
comment
it
from
comes
Josh says, it seems like most side by sides are safer on the road than a lifted Suzuki Samurai. That's kind of how I feel too. I mean, I've got vintage classic cars, I've got motorcycles, and there is no way that a 1949 car is safer than a modern side by side that has a roll cage and a 5-point harness. And yet, that's the only real argument I've ever heard from these states that say, "Oh, you can't drive it on the road because it's not safe." You
Yeah.
can go get a Suzuki Hayabusa and go 200 miles an hour with no
Yeah.
helmet in Florida.
And no
Or
insurance.
or you can have a
Yeah.
Model T. You can drive around on a Model T.
Mhm.
What happens if someone
Yeah.
crashes into you in your Model T on the freeway?
They didn't even know what emissions were back then.
Yeah.
If Oscar Mayer is allowed to drive around a Wienermobile, I should be able to drive whatever I want
You should be able to drive your own Wienermobile.
if I so choose.
Yeah.
That's the
Thought this
headline
was
right
America.
there. That's
So, in sum, if I do want to register a K car, before I buy one, contact you guys, kind of figure out what I need exactly for what year and kind of paperwork, and then
Yeah.
go buy one and send you guys some paperwork.
That's pretty much it. Yep. Just send us the bill of sale. Just make sure you try to get it in English. That'll definitely help. If you get it in like Japanese, it might be a little harder, and then they're gonna want you to translate, and that's another whole ordeal.
Well, Washington, these K trucks go. So in theory, there's importers that import them into Washington and register them and license them in Washington. So if that part's all done, then we just reach out to you for that LLC Michigan or Montana part.
which
That's it.
I just shared this. What was it yesterday? I think it was with Andy Lilienthal. It was a Pajero Mini
Junior.
Junior.
No, yeah, you're right. Was it a junior or was it a
Yeah.
mini? I don't know. It
It
was
was
a
a
super
mini.
tiny.
It
one.
was this. It was
But-
the tiny one,
But that's another K size vehicle.
which he's in Oregon, so
Yep.
well, we know what to do.
You know what's going to be interesting? You guys mentioned on a recent podcast that things might change once things go electric. And a lot of these states are saying you can't do this because it doesn't pass emissions. It never did pass emissions. Well, that's not going to matter once things are electric. So then what's the argument?
Probably they'll just throw the safety thing at it. So that was the Suzuki Jimny we were talking about. Sometime in the next 5 to 7 years, they're supposed to make an all-electric Suzuki Jimny, which is a vehicle that's not offered in the U.S. So, which is a bummer. It's
but it's
cool
legal in
truck.
like Germany, which has stricter safety laws than we do. So I don't think they
Yeah.
can use that as an
I-
argument.
I just pulled up the Facebook Marketplace to kind of see what the price of those K trucks were in my area. And obviously, my phone's been listening to us talk because, like, without me searching, this
They were
Toyota
there.
Town Ace popped up. I sent it to you, Ben. You should share it. It's amazing. I've never
Alright.
seen one.
Toyota Town Ace.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
sounds like one of those little tiny micro vans, right?
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, that would be a good one to make like a Back to the Future spoof. And I don't were they Palestinians or something like that? They jump out with a rocket launcher and shoot at them, but they'd have to like have this little tiny one, or I don't know. That'd be great. We'll wait
would
here
just
while
make
Ben
it
pulls
killer.
it up.
It would be so great to have like a Jimny or something like that. Make an off-road overlanding build out of it, because you can get into these trails that are just for UTVs or something.
Oh, it's a camper.
Oh wow.
I don't
Oh wow.
know how it worked because that's so tiny.
I don't think that's a K size. I think that's the next step up.
It is slightly bigger, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not very long.
That's pretty awesome.
4-wheel drive too.
You probably don't sleep sideways in it. You probably have to sleep long ways in it. It probably isn't 6 feet wide on the inside.
It's designed for a Japanese person to sleep in it, not
Yeah.
me. Not
Yeah.
someone of my size.
That is on the tree right there.
Yeah, 5
Yeah.
on the tree.
5 on the
Oh
tree.
man.
You've got high and low gear. You've got 4-wheel drive.
It looks like the entire interior turns into a bed the way that couch and seats are arranged there.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's a lot of money, man. 31,000 plus
Oh.
dollars. Wow.
But it fits 6.
Wow.
But you don't have sales tax up there in Oregon, right?
No,
No.
no, we have all the other taxes, but
That's usually
Don't
what
worry,
comes
they
with
get
it.
us. So, along this line, Coy, the guy who fixed up and sold me my LMTV, he bought from a military auction a K truck out of the naval shipyard up in Ben's area, and it was a 4-door cab over, and it still had a 6-foot bed behind it.
4-door?
And
I've seen 'em.
it was left-hand drive. So is a 4-door K truck, left-hand drive. He said he threw 4 dudes in it, 4 dirt bikes, and he went up and hit all the awesome trails and everything with it. And lots of fun and no issues. Plenty of room inside for 4 guys because there's no crumple zones, I don't think, in those vehicles. So it's not like
You
they're
are the
compact
crumple zone.
safety.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are the crumple zone. But yeah, super neat rig. I'm jealous. I don't know if he took it with him when he moved to Alaska from Washington or not. Probably, I would assume he sold it. I can't imagine he would have brought it all the way up there. What you do with it's just too small for Alaska.
No. Look, you put tracks on it, you put a plow
Yeah.
on it. It's perfect for Alaska.
I've
For
only
plowing
seen
sidewalks?
the 4-door K trucks in the fire truck package. You know, I've never seen one with like
Yeah.
a bed.
No, so this one came from Bremerton or Puget Sound Naval Shipyard up there.
Yeah,
And,
this is a
it was-
banger, Bremerton.
It was legitimately a 4-door truck, and it was really cool. So
Yeah. I almost wonder if they brought those over. One time I was passing through Kadena Air Base in Japan, and on the Air Force side, they had a whole bunch of K trucks that were
Yeah.
just the ramp trucks, and they were all left-hand drive for us, Americans. So
Yeah.
I almost wonder if they brought those under with GSA tags or just not tagged at all, but just as military assets, and that's how they end up here.
most likely.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It totally
Mhm.
makes sense. So, because I've never seen a left-hand drive K vehicle
Yeah.
ever, unless it was a military piece of equipment.
Well, yeah. So when I was there, so stateside, when I was stationed in Texas, we used bread vans to drive around the ramp and stuff. And it's funny at Kadena, you're over there and they've got bread vans, but they're like little K truck, tiny bread vans, like these little micro bread vans. Yeah. With all these, big American burly airplane mechanics riding around in them. The rear bumper is basically dragging on the ground at that point.
660 cc's.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a cool little rig. We ran into town and bought ice cream with it one night. So, yeah, whole lot of
Bought
fun.
ice cream or sold ice cream?
The siren
You'd
on
sell
top,
out. You'd sell out pretty quick if you used a K truck as an ice cream truck. I'm telling you. Yeah. Well, it's been great having you guys on. Can you guys tell us and our listeners where they can find out more about Dirt Legal? If you got any socials or a website they can check out?
Yeah.
Dirtlegal.com. We're available Monday through Friday, phone or text. We also have agents on Facebook. We just started using Twitter again. We've also got an Instagram that's at Dirt Legal. You can check out all the cool stuff we're doing. Reach out. We're always here to help.
And YouTube.
And YouTube channel. We started that last year. We've got the Dirt Legal YouTube channel. Just surpassed 1,000 subscribers recently, so that's kind of cool.
Congratulations.
And thank you. Yeah, check us out. So, oh my gosh, John.
Yeah. Look at that right there. That van would be amazing.
That would be just awesome to have.
Yeah. I'd love to see Ben.
The
crank
John's
up the
YouTube
van.
comment there. I don't know if we what you do with it is up to you. We're not.
I'm not saying that I would.
I'm all for it.
I'm not saying that I'd do full Kiss plot cosplay with the whole band and fill that van up and just crank music and just drive around. That's
If
fine.
you Google it, there's a lot of themed K vehicles out there where people have I'm sure I've seen more than one A-team van with a K van. Yeah,
You got to mystery machine it. I feel like
I'm sure. Yeah. Well, we want to thank everybody who listens to us weekly and all those who watch us live on YouTube. We appreciate your comments. Thanks for helping push the show along and making fun of us. It's a whole lot of fun having you guys out there in the comments. Make sure you're sharing us with your friends and helping us grow. And God bless America.
I was looking for a Key Truck video of the A-Team.
Don't forget to visit Patriot Patch and join the Patch of the Month Club. Check out our Gaia affiliate link for up to 40% off. Also, don't forget to head over to Warren Medical Gear Outfitters and Colby Valve to see all their great gear. We're a proud part of the Firearms Radio Network. Got a comment or question? Send it to us through our webpage at firearmsradio.net or through our social media channels by searching for Off-Road Podcast. Also, you can listen to us live at overlandradio.com Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific. When off-road, please remember to have fun, tread lightly, be safe, and courteous. Thanks for listening.
If you're watching still, there you go. The A-Team, very blurry.
Yeah, that's it.
Fantastic.
A- team.
It's fantastic.